Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prstaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschacha Desatari. So this week we're going to be continuing with our journey through chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, and we have reached verse number 13. So let me just sing the verse in the Sanskrit. Mahatmanas tumang pata diving prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim abhyaya. And the translation reads, Great souls seek the shelter of my divine nature. They know me as the inexhaustible origin of all beings, and they serve me with single-minded devotion. So we have been hearing how Krishna has explained that I adopt a human form when I come into this world. But the bewildered ones, they don't recognize me, and in fact they even deride me. In the Sanskrit, that's the word that Krishna uses. There are those who deride the whole idea that God might be a person, let alone a person in the form of a beautiful boy who lives in the forest. Personally, I would say, why not? In the Western artistic tradition, sometimes God has been represented as a bearded elderly man, which of course is projecting our own very human ideas of what wisdom might look like. Why shouldn't a beautiful boy be the embodiment of wisdom and beauty and love and friendship? So Krishna, speaking of these persons, says they don't recognize, they don't know my true nature as the one who is the Lord of all beings, Bhuta Maheshwaram, the great Lord of everyone, of every being. And he goes on to say in the following verse, the hopes and the work and the knowledge of these misguided souls are all in vain, for their deluded nature attracts them to selfish and destructive ways. And we heard about these two words that Krishna uses, quite severe words to describe these beings, as Rakshasa, which means serious demon, and Asura, which means essentially a bad person. The Sura is the godly person, and the Asura is the one who is not godly. So whatever they undertake, the ones who don't recognize my divinity, eventually leads to failure. Now that's the negative. Now Krishna gives the positive in this verse number 13. He describes the great souls. In Sanskrit, the word for great soul is Mahatma. And of course that word was popularly given to the one we know as Mahatma Gandhi, because he was regarded in the middle of the 20th century by the people in India as a truly great man. But the true terminology here in the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, here is how to recognize a Mahatma. Krishna says, Mahatmanas tumam partha diving prakritim ashrita. The great souls, how do you recognize them? They are always, they seek the shelter of my divine nature. They're always looking for the presence of God, everywhere, seeing that divine presence and immersing themselves in that presence. Ashrita means to take shelter of Krishna's higher energies. And going on, he says, these beings, they serve me with single-minded devotion. In Sanskrit, ananya manaso. The mind becomes completely focused. As the one grows on the spiritual path, one enters deeper and deeper into this awareness of the all-pervading presence of the divine. And as we've been hearing, this presence in very deep devotion can be recognized as a personal presence, not an impersonal energy. The very significant point here is that God is often seen as an impersonal energy by many, but what's so important here is that it turns out I can't really develop a personal, loving relationship with an all-pervading energy. That all-pervading energy is there, no question, and I can experience that all-pervading energy. I can be drawn into that feeling of being part of this universal presence. But what I can also do is I can go deeper even, and I can experience the personal connection, and I can even have a loving relationship with that divine person. So the complete verse is, great souls seek the shelter of my divine nature. They know me as the inexhaustible origin of all beings and serve me with single-minded devotion. So that then, of course, in the corollary of the previous verse, those who don't recognize that, whatever they undertake, it doesn't come to success. But if I live and breathe in and act in this recognition of the divine presence, then everything I do will be fruitful. And not only that, but I will experience great joy in my life. And how do I come to recognize this all-pervading, loving presence? That is the secret of what is called bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion. At the start of this chapter 9, Krishna says to his friend Arjuna, he says, now I'm going to reveal to you the innermost secret, the greatest secret of achieving joy and happiness in life. Let me just cast my mind back to those opening words. Krishna says, Arjuna, I will teach you the greatest secret because you are willing to hear me with trust. Very significant that Krishna says that. Because you trust me and you wish to hear, so I can tell you. If you haven't found that deep sense of trust, then even if I told you, you wouldn't understand it, what I have to say. And then he goes on and says, once you grasp this knowledge and its application, how to practice it, you will be released from all miseries. But that's only the beginning. To be released from misery is, one could say, is one of the great aspirations for all of us. But that alone is not the complete success. The complete success is having lost my misery and my illusion. Then I can enter into the completeness of full spiritual life. That's when it begins. So that's what Krishna is speaking about here in the chapter 9, how one can get to this place and what happens as one enters this inner life is my mind becomes single-mindedly attracted to Krishna. And I recognize Krishna as the inexhaustible origin of all beings. And there is this understanding that, of course, I wish to know myself, but unless I recognize and know the source of myself, how can I know myself? Unless I stand in the light of the sun, how can I see myself? Similarly, once I bathe in the divine loving presence of Krishna, then I start to perceive who I truly am. So next week we can explore what that is like. So let's just end with the great mantra. Simply hearing the sound of Krishna's name is really the answer to all one's spiritual aspirations. Because in this sound, Krishna is fully present. Krishna is present everywhere anyway, but in the sound of his name, I can feel that presence. I can hear that presence. I can enter deep into that presence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, See you again soon.